Yo, what's up with you guys? It's your boy Yaahn Jr. here, and my Can't Hide Love cover is finally out. I got the link in the description for that. I want to break down how I recreated the original sound recording myself. So I got this cleared, and shout out to DistroKid for allowing us to be able to cover a song as long as we recreate everything and do everything ourselves. Let's go into Logic Pro and let's dig in. All right, guys, so here's the finished product of my recreation of Can't Hide Love. Check this out. Let me break this down for you. All right, so here's the drums, just dry. All right, so on the kick, I pretty much use the SSLG channel, my all-time favorite. Link in the description for this. You guys know this is my Bible of mixing my drums. So I use this on the kick, and then that's giving us a little bit more beef there. A lot of beef. So then I use the Pro Q after that to actually roll off some of this top end to make it sound a bit more vintage. It didn't need to be that clear on the top end, and I got that beater going up around here, about 3K. Cool. And then on the snare, I'm using the G channel once again and put it on the snare drum preset, and I did a lot of tweaking to this. So here's what we got. And that's pretty much the meat of everything, honestly. On the hi-hat, I have the virtual mix rack from Slate. I rolled off a ton of low end on this, so I rolled up all the way up to 300 hertz. No compression, surprisingly, and that's giving us this. So it's clean. Cool. And so on the overheads, I really didn't do anything. Actually, the only thing I did was just flip the phase because I pan the drums in audience perspective. So other than that, I didn't really do anything crazy to the drums. So I used the SSL comp on the overall drum bus just to give it a little lift, and that's kind of giving us this vibe. So that's very transparent. Turn it off. All right, so that's just giving us a lift on the drums. I think the next thing I used was the Pro Q3, and I used this to give me the same EQ as the Earth, Wind, and Fire recording, just to give it that vintage kind of feel like they had it, and that sounds like this. So it has a more of an old school vibe, you know, not a ton of low end and stuff like that. And that just contributes to, you know, giving us this vintage feel. So next we have our bass, Scarby MM bass, and this is in Complete 13. I got the link in the description for that. And that without the plugins is just giving us this. Yeah, so it's giving me that vintage Fender vibe a little bit. I coupled it with the CLA 2A. This is in the Mercury bundle. Got the link in the description for that. And I also used CLA bass, and this is also in the Mercury bundle, or you can buy these individually if you want. I have the links for them. So this with the compressor, let's just go to the compressor first, and we have this sound. So it's starting to sound a little bit more realistic with that compression on there like that. It sounds like almost like a little amp in a way. And then I topped it off with the CLA bass, and that's giving us this vibe. All right. And so, yeah, just played that bass line myself on the keys. And yeah, and it came out pretty dope. That's the drums and bass. And so for the guitars, I pretty much used Contact. Actually, I used the electric Sunburst. I got the link in the description for this that I used. Yeah. So the first one we have just the chords, and that's from this one right here. And then the next one is the same electric Sunburst. I use this for the bass line, doubling that. One more time. I just used CLA guitar on this, and that's giving us this vibe. I turned up the roof a little bit and kind of got a little bit of a crunch, actually. We turn it off. So it sounds a little clean and more digital, but adding that little bit of that treble and that crunch preset gives us a little bit more of an amp. Yeah, it's just a little dirtier just to give us that vintage, that sound, you know? So that's what's going on with the guitars. And again, played that myself on the keys. So for the Rhodes, I use Keyscape and I use the Rhodes Classic, and that's giving us this vibe right here. Yeah. Yeah, so on the tone, I turn the treble down. I have the auto pan tremolo going on. But I basically made this mono, so it's not spread. It's nice down in the center like an old school Rhodes was. And then I put some channel EQ on there, some Logic EQ, rolling off some of that low end and kind of bumping up this mid range to make it cut through the mix, and that's giving us this sound now. You know, so now it's starting to take on a vintage vibe instead of it sounding, you know, new school and clean. I did sneak a piano in there as well because I heard that in the original, just the one chord. And that's also Keyscape. Didn't do too much tweaking on this one. This is the LA Custom C7 Grand. That's all I needed. It was just the one chord. And then you know, Rhodes kind of plays out throughout the rest, and then the piano kind of lays out. The next thing we have is my vocals. So I definitely did sing this myself. Here's my vocals. Yeah, those are my vocals. And so I did the best I could, all right? So I did 3 low and 3 high. So on the vocals, we have auto-tune on just about, yeah, auto-tune on every track. And then for the low ones, I just did a little bit of tweaking on here. With Pro Q3, I bumped up some of the low end and less of the high end, so that low end can be a little bit more predominant in the stacks. And then on the vocal bus, we have Pro Q3, and that's giving us this vibe right here. Then we have CLA 2.8, one of my favorite compressors of all time, just to give us some nice, good, smooth compression. It's nice, smooth compression. And then I decided to go with the virtual mix rack for the brightening and you know, the more enhancement, I would say. So I did some enhancing using the Neve EQ. I rolled off a little bit on the low end here. I didn't boost anything else. I'm just using the Neve's top end, honestly. turn everything back on. All right. And so the verb of my choice on the vocals is the verb Sweet Classics from Slate. And I pretty much kept it on the plates, preset the FG 480. And then I just turned down the highs a little bit, about 2.5 dB, and that's giving us this beautiful verb. So definitely more of a vintage verb sound. Cool. So let's get to the fun stuff, which is the horns, session horns. And so I use two different variations. So this performance is giving us our swells. This is the good swell preset that I used. Real dope. I put it on 4-beat. So real nice swells. I got the link in the description for session horns. You definitely want to cop this. You definitely need session horns. It'll change your life. So for the second articulation, I changed it for a stab kind of vibe, stab articulation. I use staccato, and that's going to give us that classic bam, 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 bam. Just these horns in general, they're very bright sounding. So if I take these off, you see how crazy. You see how crazy that top end is. So I just had to roll it off and make it sound a little bit more old. So you got to tweak this stuff to really achieve, a good organic sound. You definitely need to tweak it. So I'll let some of that top end, sneak through. And this is what it sounds like without the EQ. Really nasally sounding, So I dried it up a little bit. And that gives us this finished product. I did use some verb on the horns, though, before we wrap this up. I used the Manny verb on the horns. All right, turn it on. And it kind of gives you that same space as the original sound recording. So all of that put together, we get this vibe. So that's pretty much how I recreated the record myself. Everything is done again organically. So I have a link up above for you guys to check out the full tutorial that has everything else, the 808s, the programmed drums, you name it. Everything is in that video. In this video, I wanted to focus on how I redid the sample. If you do not have DistroKid, you can use my promo code in the description to get 7% off your first year's membership. And so, hey, if you got some value out of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss nothing else from the channel. That's it from me, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Hey guys, if you made it to the end of this video, check it out. I got some free stuff in the description for you. And also, if you want to check out my full cover of the Can't Hide Love joint from Earth, Wind & Fire, I got the link in the description for that as well, so you can jam out to it. And thank you guys so much for your time.